One Zambia, One Nation, and welcome to Zanis News, today the 30th of November 2022. My name is Juliet Mtele. Topstar is in the news tonight. Government, Zambia Tourism Agency to market Zambia abroad. Mutete districts gets first level local court. Low electricity voltage worries Western Province peers. China non-ferrous metal donates fertilizer to vulnerable farmers. Zanis News in detail. President Hakainde Hichilema says the tourism sector has huge potential to create jobs for the Zambian people. President Hichilema says it is for this reason that government is ready to support efforts that the Zambia Tourism Agency, ZTA, is making in its journey to market the country to the outside world. Sunday Wadia filed in this report.
President Hakainde Hichilema says the tourism sector has a huge potential to create jobs for the Zambian people. The president also promised to support efforts that the Zambia Tourism Agency is making in its journey to market the country to the outside world. Mr. Hichilema said this when he met the new Zambia Tourism Agency board in Livingstone today.
The role of the tourism sector in contributing to the expected economic growth in our country is critical. Tourism has great potential, but I'm tired of talking about potential. I'm tired because we in Zambia have been talking about potential of this country for years and years. And I'm delighted that you are helping me to smoothen my tiredness by basically launching a plan to increase tourism business flows, tourist inflows, and also I'm delighted to hear that you're targeting obviously just the quantum in terms of increase in the number of tourists and also the length of stay. Minister, infrastructure, to get the key infrastructure, priority key infrastructure that when we work on it first, it will help contribute to the product enhancement. Let's call it a product enhancement. And also to support particular destinations. This is a critical destination, Livingstone. In our quest to expand tourism sector, we are alive that, yes, we can open new fronts, and it's important to do that.
And Minister of Tourism, Rodin Skumba, has said that government, in its quest to promote the tourism sector, government is going to work on infrastructure, such as roads and other tourist sites in the country.
Well, we committed as a government assurance that government was going to look into creating what we'd like to call minimal infrastructure development. We took the need and an assessment and understood and agreed that most of these particular sites that we have in Zambia are inaccessible. Inaccessible, one, to the tourist, inaccessible, two, to the potential investor. So what we have done is we have secured 100 million from the World Bank currently, which obviously we're working on modalities to finalize the project, to see where we've got identified sites.
Earlier, Zambia Tourism Agency Board Chairman Dan Brink said the tourism sector is expected to add to the gross domestic product of the country.
So there is no reason for tourism in 3 years from now to not be on par but probably surpass the contribution to the country's GDP compared to mining. As is now with 3%, we see in year 2 we might grow to 6%, and year 3 we can go to 12%, and the sky is the limit.
The tourism sector has a capacity to construct the economy of the country. For Zanis in Livingstone, Southern Province, I am Sunday Wadia.
In Lusaka Province, Vice President Mutalena Lumango was today among other delegates that attended a high-level engagement meeting on food and nutrition security. The meeting was aimed at assessing the progress that Zambia has recorded towards addressing malnutrition and stunting problems in the country. Here's a report by Michelle Lubinda.
Zambia's malnutrition rates remain among the highest in the world. 31% of the population are unable to meet their minimum food requirements, resulting in malnutrition. Vice President Mutalena Lumango today had an engagement with cooperating partners and other key stakeholders in the food and nutrition value chain to to formulate sustainable mechanisms towards addressing issues of hunger and malnutrition in the country.
Nutrition is a very important determinant, because then we see that stunting, wasting and micronutrient deficiencies are accounting about 45% of child deaths and 20% of maternal deaths. So nutrition is a very important determinant of human development, and until we address it, it is unethical that we can allow children to die for something that we can do about. So I think there is a call to address deaths associated with undernutrition. Next.
Zambia is part of the global community that has committed to end all forms of hunger and malnutrition by 2030 as part of its vision to attain the status of a prosperous middle-income country.
Because we have influential leaders with the power to eliminate hunger and all forms of malnutrition, let me, therefore, assure you that this vision is possible, and those that have spoken before me have all said it is possible. This vision is possible if we put our efforts and resources together. And this is the intention of this meeting, that we put our efforts and intentions together. We are determined to achieve this goal because failure is not an option.
The United Nations system in Zambia has reaffirmed its commitment to help Zambia attain sustainable food security by supporting initiatives that are targeting at fighting hunger.
Long-term commitments are required from all partners to ensure continued progress as well as continuity of funding, coupled with a willingness to learn lessons and adapt to achieve impact. The achievement of the first 1,000 Most Critical Days program, Phase 1, and the lessons learned from that must not be underestimated.
And the representative of the cooperating partners has commended government for including a pillar on nutrition and malnutrition in its development plan, the 8th National Development Plan.
The increase of the CDF is an important milestone in Zambia's devolution agenda. With these increased funds now available, we wish to urge the Zambian government to ensure that as part of institutionalizing funding for nutrition within government systems, avenues such as the CDF take nutrition in their planning and budgeting processes.
The current nutrition challenges call for concerted efforts from all stakeholders in finding sustainable solutions. Michelle Lubinda for Zanis in Osaka.
And in Eastern Province, government has started distributing the 1958 chiefdom boundary maps to chiefs across the country, aimed at resolving outstanding land conflicts in the country. Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development Permanent Secretary for Technical Services, Nicholas Piri, says government needs to work with traditional leaders to deal with the land wrangles in the newly created district. Mr. Piri says most of the newly created districts sit on traditional land, hence the need for government and traditional rulers to work together to secure land for the development of these districts. He said this when he paid a courtesy call on Paramount Chief Kalonga Gawa Undi at his palace.
But we also discussed the issue of the need for government to work in close collaboration with their Royal Highnesses, specifically when in issues of the new districts that we have created. You may be aware that Vugwi, for example, Sinda here are some of the new districts that are exclusively sitting on the traditional land, and you cannot do anything to traditional land unless and until you get consent from the Royal Highnesses. So appeal to the Royal Highnesses to continue supporting the quest of government to bring development, and obviously this means that we need to see a drastic reduction in terms of conflicts on boundaries, and we hope that by government launching the 1958 maps, we are going to see a reduction in boundary conflicts so that we can spend most of our times on developing our communities.
In a related development, the Barotse Royal Establishment in Mitete District has commended government for constructing the first ever local court in the district. Induna Notanga says the facility built using the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, will cut out challenges faced by people in accessing legal services. Cosmas Sokasoka has the rest of the details.
The people of Mitete district have sought legal services from the nearest Rukuru district since 2013 when the district was established due to lack of a court in the area. However, the situation is now different as government has built the first ever local court in the district using the Constituency Development Fund.
I'm so delighted to be given this opportunity to bless this occasion of the handover ceremony of a local court which was constructed under the 2021 Constituency Development Fund at a total cost of 459,816 to Tungwe. Government is determined to bring better services closer to the people in all corners of the country.
Acting Council Secretary Katutambewe has called on the community to safeguard the facility and has held government for the increased Constituency Development Fund, which has made it possible to effectively monitor the projects in the district.
We have handed over to the community for now temporarily so that they safeguard the stature of the structure. As you can see, the contractor has done a very good job in a very short time because of that increment in the Constituency Development Fund, which has also actually helped us to monitor the project closely and ensure that the contractor actually does a good job. So we hope the community is going to safeguard it until we start the operations.
Meanwhile, the Barotse Royal Establishment, BRE, is elated by the development.
Ya UPND iye telezwiki mutombe haka ine hichilema takuli kwa kone mtu kwa bana watu ne munyanda jikuli munyandile kibona ni muri muru office kuru from na mutonga yale kuli niye na abe first to
Cosmas Sokasoka, Zanis in Mitete District, Western Province.
Thank you, Cosmas, for that report. Zanis News continues. Eastern Province Minister Peter Piri has advised residents of Kagoro in Katete District, where some villagers recently clashed with police, to always abide by the law and follow right procedures when airing grievances. Mr. Piri was advising the residents when he held a meeting in Kawaza village in the company of Chieftainess Kawaza. More in this report.
Eastern Province Minister Peter Piri has visited Kagoro area in Katete, where angry residents recently clashed with police, leaving several officers injured and some villagers arrested. The minister was accompanied by Chieftainess Kawaza and senior government officials.
TNTSS kusatira lamulo bata izakazikika sitizankhala na chiwembu chili chonse chifuwanga tilamulo tapanga isenso tapanga lamulo tilupwanya lusokoneza chamene nifuna nigogomezepo nchakuti tikapeza cholakwa kapena nikawalala kapena ni ndani bachitana ndeo bachitana ngozi sitima bapereka kwa polisi ndiko tibachita handover kuti aba bantu baba manga titaona kuti kwamene tapereka chilungamo sichiruoneka tina DC tina na deputy permanent secretary tina ma PS na isetiliko.
The minister wants normal life to return to this area, much to the delight of the people.
Nikusimikizireni TNT kale mwamene tinalukalira osati tikale na manta a polisi saza bweramu mu minzi umu kutigwira olokutimanga siku lililonse tachita withdraw pa chizungu a polisi baja wabwerera kwamene banalili tikaona achitetezo ngati a polisi mwamene avalira commissioner sikuti amabwerera nkhondo kwa ife chifukwa abantu ni bantu ofunikira kuyanganira mioyo yathu tione kuti muminzi mwathu muli chiwawa kapena muli bwanji tifunika nkhala na bata ndiye ntchito yawo.
At the same event, Chieftainess Kawaza preached peace and echoed the minister's message.
Sasebenzisa lamulo manja mwathu ati tizipeza kopita komanso nufuna ukambako kwanga ali ese nkocha bwanji nikotseguka wabwera kuja sinde tinadefenda munthu yayi tsono chilondola atitsimikizira sataye mitima komanso tisakhale nayo mikwiyo.
Earlier, the minister and his entourage paid a courtesy call on Paramount Chief Gawa Undi. Abigail Kashweka, Zanis in Katete.
And also in the news, the Kasama Municipal Council is elated with the commitment exhibited by the physically challenged people when applying for grants under the Constituency Development Fund. The Council Director of Planning, Zindaba Malanda, says government wants the vulnerable people in the society to become financially stable. Chibibi Nyongani gives us more in this report.
Government has continued to empower various groups across the country through the Constituency Development Fund, CDF. In Kasama District, over 105 clubs and cooperatives from both Kasama Central and Lukasha constituencies have so far benefited from the empowerment component under the 2022 CDF. Kasama Municipal Council Director Planning, who officiated at the handover of grants to beneficiaries, explains the strides the council has made in the disbursement of the grants.
So far, a total of 52 youths, women and community groups have already been given empowerment grants and are engaged in various business ventures. Today, we are going to give an additional 25 groups, a total value of 950,783 for the two constituencies of Kasama District.
And beneficiaries, who included persons with disabilities, are grateful for the initiative.
As persons with disabilities, we've held that it can help us. Our women should be selling this second-hand clothes so as to promote our welfare, our well-being.
The CDF Empowerment Fund is a new component that government introduced starting this year to support marginalized groups with a view of cushioning their challenges. Chibibi Nyongani reporting for Zanis in Kasama District, Northern Province.
You're watching Zanis News from Mass Media Complex. Now, Mongo District Commissioner Morgan Akabeswa has flagged off the distribution of rehabilitated desks, starting with Kambule STEM Secondary School in Western Province. Here are the details.
Mongo District Commissioner Morgan Akabeswa has flagged off school desks that have been rehabilitated by pupils of Design and Technology in Mongo District of Western Province. Mr. Akabeswa said government do not want to see any child sitting on the floor by 2023.
We do not want any child to sit on the floor by 2023. We are empowering the local contractors who can take advantage of this huge amount that has been rolled out in CDF to create companies, to create cooperatives that can be able to make desks for the children in schools. We don't want, when we take these desks, 2 days after these desks are broken, they have come back. So we have teachers who are able to weld, who are able to fix, who are able to work on these days so that they stay longer for a longer time in these schools.
And the Mongo District Education Board Secretary Ilutombili Simba said schools in the district have the capacity to rehabilitate broken down desks.
The job was well done within the time frame that they were given, simply showing that our schools have a capacity to undertake the rehabilitation of desks as a directive that is coming from our president, that all our schools should have desks and no child in our country should sit on the floor by the end of 2023. This also has given our learners a learning avenue for them to acquire the skills that they need in life so that by the time they graduate from our schools, they are not supposed to look forward to someone to employ them.
Meanwhile, Venon Muyelu, a pupil from Kambule STEM Secondary School, has thanked government for donating money towards the rehabilitation of the desks.
It's a very great opportunity to learn design and technology, because in there you learn a lot of skills like making this kind of desks. We are very happy for the government and for the CDF that has donated money for the schools to produce this kind of desks.
Darlington Kabambe reporting in Mongu District, Western Province.
Thank you, Darlington, for that report. Now, in a related development, Chisamba District Education Board Secretary Debs Kelly's Kapanga has received a borehole at Kasamba Primary School constructed with support from Environment, a non-governmental organization. Mr. Kapanga commended the organization for providing water to boost the production unit at the school. Rachel Chininga has the rest of the details.
The old adage often says, water is life. For the pupils of Kasamba Primary School in Chisamba District, access to safe and clean drinking water has been a challenge, as the community had to share one water point with animals. Environment Africa, a non-governmental organization dealing in the enhancement of children's rights and provision of safe and clean drinking water, has come to their rescue by constructing a borehole.
The project was supposed to drill 5 boreholes in different schools that are in need of clean water. Not that all the schools are not in need or the schools have dirty water, no. They do have clean water, but not quite sufficient, looking at the populations in the schools. Why? Because the population of the school is big, and then they only have one borehole. And that borehole is the one the community they are using there. Not just the community, plus livestock. If they say ng'ombe imbushi bonse banwina kulia queen. And we were told the borehole is almost collapsing.
Chisamba District Education Board Secretary Kelly Kapanga says the gesture is a motivation to the school.
The provision of this borehole, it means that in this school now, they have clean and safe water. And that clean and safe water, it will be a motivation even to the girl child to be coming to school, realizing that in a school where they will be coming to, there is clean water. There is clean water. And as the girl child will be benefiting from the clean water, the boy child equally will be benefiting from that same clean water. We want to urge the school to ensure that this borehole is well protected.
Headman Sunkuta expressed gratitude to Environment Africa for the borehole.
Shuapate pa kulega inende kunkula pansi mune tulokesha kwa ma problem kuneko yali ayengi ma ntweno ma kliniki tatukwete.
And school head boy Peter Chumbwe had this to say.
Kasamba and the community at large, we want to lend a vote of thanks to Environment Africa through the Office of the Debs for the consideration and support you have extended to the school in so many ways, such as education, talks, crossing-cutting issues, and now a monopump. Therefore, may you continue helping us and others in the same way to improve people's lives.
Access to safe and clean drinking water is not only a human right, but a necessity to society. Provision of a borehole by Environment Africa to the community of Kasamba Primary School will help improve their livelihood. Rachel Chininga reporting for Zanis in Chisamba.
Still on education news, but this time around in Northern Province, education authorities in Kasama District have applauded schools in the area for recording 0 examination malpractices since the start of examinations on October 31st, 2022. Here are the details.
As the 2022 Grade 9 examination comes to a conclusion, the Kasama District Education Board Secretary's office says the district has hit a milestone with no incident of examination malpractices. Kasama District Education Board Secretary Andrew Chipeli is happy with the development.
We have come out malpractice free. This was actually done during the sensitization meetings that we had with our teachers. So far, we are happy. And our children are very happy. They have been writing the examinations independently without any hand from anyone else, because we had talked about the dangers of engaging our teachers in such practices.
Mr. Chipeli has attributed the milestone to adequate preparation of both teachers and pupils prior to the examinations.
Grade 12s, we had 34 centers. We also did 90%. Grade 9, we have 60 centers that are writing examinations. And we have done monitoring in about 95%. So our presence in the examination centers actually has made our invigilators, our supervisors, and our center chairpersons to be alert and to know what they are supposed to do.
A check at Kasama Girls Secondary School found examinations in progress while revealing a calm environment. School head teacher Fales Mumbi shared her experience.
Our grade 12s, they wrote exams without any malpractice activities. Right now, we are doing grade 9 examinations. Our girls are writing the exams very well. And even now, I'm here to confirm that we have not experienced any malpractice activities. We prepared the children before they started writing the exam. So they are writing well.
Ntazanga Mumba for Zanis in Kasama.
In Western Province, Provincial Permanent Secretary Akapelwa Simomo has bemoaned the low electricity voltage that is being experienced by consumers in the region. Mr. Simomo said this when a team from the Energy Regulation Board and the Ministry of Finance paid a courtesy call on him. Darlington Kabambe now reports.
Western Province Permanent Secretary Simomo Akapelwa has bemoaned low ZESCO voltages being experienced by many energy consumers in the province. Mr. Simomo said this when a team of Energy Regulation Board, Ministries of Finance and Energy officials paid a courtesy call on him.
But what you should know from Western Province is that we think the voltage we are receiving here is not adequate if we want to industrialize. We want to have more electricity in the Western Province. At the moment, the voltage is not enough for industrialization. So whether you get this from hydropower here in the province, or allow people to come and set up solar farms for solar energy, we want the electricity, whichever way it's coming.
And Mr. Rogers Muyangwa, Manager Economic Regulation Electricity, said government has already studied the cost of electricity tariffs and consultation with various stakeholders has commenced in all the 10 provinces of the country.
The much talked about cost of service study was completed in 2021, and it was submitted to the government about March. So government has studied that study, and now has initiated the process of consultations. As you might recall, PS in August, the government released what is called the green paper, which is a preliminary position of government on the findings of that study. Or as ERB, we are presenting the findings of that report, the cost of services study. Then the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Energy are presenting the government position on the matter.
Meanwhile, various stakeholders had their input in the findings of the electricity cost of service study.
Of Western Power Company in Western Province for a long time. Maybe the question is, what is the main challenge that this company is not coming up, because we experience a lot of power blackouts
Because what makes this cost-effective changes is also, the rate of, if you can't maintain the exchange rate, then you have problems in sticking to that cost-effective value. So I think the export market, we should look at it very seriously, and that's what can rake in our forex. Our culture might step.
The energy regulation team is in the province to disseminate the findings of the cost of safety study and the government's green paper that was handed over to government. Darlington Kawambe reporting for Zanis in Mongu District, Western Province.
From Luapula Province, Provincial Deputy Permanent Secretary Roy Mwansa has handed over 1 million kwacha empowerment grants to 75 cooperatives, youths, women and community groups under the 2022 Constituency Development Fund in Mwansa-Bombwe District. Lewis Changwe brings us the details.
The handing over of CDF grants to beneficiaries in Mwansa-Bombwe District has continued. In addition to 45 groups which received the grants in September this year, another 75 cooperatives and youth groups have received the grants. The handover ceremony took place at Kapare Secondary School, and Luapula Province Deputy Permanent Secretary Roy Mwansa was the guest of honor.
1,158,200 kwacha, and these grants should be given to 75 our group. The president is saying this is not a government of handouts, it's a government of empowerment.
Area Member of Parliament Kabaso Kampampi and Town Council Chairperson Tirio Chungu also witnessed the handover of the grants.
All the groups and cooperatives that applied for empowerment grants under the 2022 Constituency Development Funds will be cleared today. Allow me to mention that Mwansa-Bombwe Town Council has started receiving submissions of project proposal for 2023 CTF. Take note of that, please.
This development gives me great joy as a member of parliament because I am confident that these funds will go a long way in supporting the various projects that you applied for.
The Deputy Permanent Secretary also handed over 130 mattresses to Kapare Secondary School, and the beneficiaries are thankful.
For these mattresses which I received today, I'm sure these mattresses will go a long way. I say thank you.
Lewis Changwe, Zanis, Mwansa-Bombwe.
The China non-ferrous metal company Luansha Copper Mines has donated a consignment of fertilizer and grain seed valued at 350,000 kwacha to vulnerable small-scale farmers and some former freedom fighters. KCLM Chief Executive Officer Wang Jinjan said this during the handover ceremony, that his company has over the past 13 years spent a total of 2 million kwacha on input donations to vulnerable but viable small-scale farmers. Mr. Wang said despite facing challenges in the recent past, the company has continued making donations of farming inputs to help vulnerable small-scale farmers from all parts of the districts. Mr. Wang added that CLM was motivated by the positive stories of transformed lives of some less privileged small-scale farmers in Fisenge, Maposa and Kafobo farming blocks. And Luansha Mayor Charles Mulenga commended CLM management for consistently demonstrating commitment to uplifting the standards of living of residents through strengthening food security capacity of vulnerable communities. This is your weather, and I'm your presenter, Constance Hakavodi. In the past 24 hours, rainfall activities have been reported over western, northwestern, and eastern provinces, while most parts of the country has been under the influence of cool mornings as a result of a moist and cool airflow that is coming from the southeast. We take a look at our satellite image that has been captured this morning. From the satellite image, we can see a cloud band that is stretching through eastern and northern parts of the country, while the southern part of the country is still under the influence of partly cloudy weather conditions. Our expected rainfall for 1st December 2022, we expect rainfall activities to be confined over the
northern and eastern parts of the country, while we are seeing a reduction in rainfall activities over southern half of the country. This has been your weather. Join us on Friday for yet another weather update. Enjoy the weather.
We've come to the end of Zanis news, but before we go, let's recap on the top stories. Government, Zambia Tourism Agency to market Zambia abroad. Mitete districts gets first level local court. Low electricity voltage worries Western Province peers. China non-ferrous metal donates fertilizer to vulnerable farmers. Thank you so much for staying with us. Remember, we are one Zambia, one nation. My name is Juliet Mutale saying enjoy the rest of the programming.